Hello, Wood fam. It says we're live. I'm going to have to ask whoever's on here to tell me if my volume is way too loud. I know you can't really do anything but chat, but I'm using a new microphone, so I can't tell if I'm blasting you out or not. It says I'm okay, but if it's way too loud, make sure that you put it in the chat and say turn it down. All right. Looks like we've already got my main man Stormy here. And so she's also going to be playing the role of my moderator in the chat room over here. So she'll be able to, she'll probably be able to answer questions in the chat, like general questions, before I have a chance to catch them. But what we'll do is I'm going to go ahead and do this webinar today, and feel free to chat with each other on the side if you want to. And at the end, I will do a Q&A session. And so when I wrap it up, I'll go ahead and open it up to Q&A. I'll read anything that comes up on the chat box. If I haven't caught your question already, you can go ahead and post it again. And that way we'll answer all questions at the end. If you are not seeing the chat box, we kind of figured this one out yesterday, but if you're just seeing the video and you don't see the chat box, in the top right corner, there's your little three dots. If you go up and click those three dots and open it up in a new window, it will open up, and it should open up and put the little chat box on the side. So if you are, it looks like we've already got, several people on here. I don't see anybody chatting, but I see a bunch of people that might be watching. So hello out there in internet world. Welcome to the first live chat for One Happy Widow. And like I said, if you can't, oh, yay, Purple Violet. Hello from Mount Clemens, Michigan. Oh, I can't handle the Michigan stuff. It's already too cold. It was in the 30s this morning down here in Georgia, and we were all snuggled up. So I'm very thankful I'm not way up there in the cold. But thank you so much for joining us today. And just to let you know, this is my first live, so I'm a little nervous. Also, I tend to babble especially when I get nervous. When I record this stuff, I can always cut it out. On the editing, there ain't no cutting this stuff out. So whatever we say is just going to go on there. This is also going to be posted as our next video on the YouTube channel. So just remember that when you put your chat questions up there, because they're going to be in there. Hello from Nigeria. Oh, Amina, awesome. What time is it over there? I would not even know. Is it nighttime? That's awesome. So we're like reaching a worldwide audience. That's awesome. So go ahead and post up there and let us know where you're from. And I'm so excited to see some people in here because, when you do your first chat and we just mentioned it yesterday. So I'm thinking it's just going to be me and Stormy in here with some crickets. But I've got some good stuff to talk about anyway. So even if we didn't have a big live chat, we're just ready to talk and tell you guys about some stuff that is coming up. And also, as I said before, at the end, we will open up for some Q&A. So I'll be able to look at all the chats and sort of answer the questions. But right now, I'll be talking. I probably won't be able to see a lot of the chats coming up. But I will go ahead and say we got Tammy from Mississippi. It's freezing there. Purple Violet says it's freezing here. It's 22 degrees. And now it's 36. It's probably in the 40s here now. Lucille. My mom's middle name, Lucille. South Carolina. And 7 p.m. in Nigeria. Okay. Y'all are closer to, I don't know if you're before us, after us. I don't know. I got to pop up on my geography a little bit there. Naomi from New Jersey. We've got Claudia from Canada. All right. My mom's originally from Canada too. Tammy from Oregon. You might say Oregon. I'm not really sure because, down here in the South, we always say everything our own way. All right. Okay, guys. So I'm going to go ahead and get started with the webinar. So what I'm going to talk about today is where the grief are you? That was just the thing that came up. I wanted to talk about a few of the different phases of grief, not the stages of grief that we talk about, those 5 to 7 to 11 stages, not really that. It's more general. It's basically, are you in fresh grief? Are you transitioning from fresh grief into growth? Or are you kind of stuck somewhere in the middle? Okay, we're going to talk about those different kind of phases that you might be in and some resources that I might be able to share with you that might help you depending on what phase that you're in. So I'm going to go ahead and start talking about that. And and I've got my notes here, so I'm going to be looking up and down just to make sure that I don't forget anything. So, all right. First, I want to talk about probably a lot of you are either widowed or you've suffered a great loss, or you know somebody and you're supporting somebody in your family or good friend that's widowed also, and you are trying to figure out how to support them, how to help them. So, we're going to talk about those phases that we go through from the very beginning. um, we can usually be put into these few categories. And so, kind of think about where you might be and where you are looking to go and how to get there. All right. So, what we want to talk about is how you would pivot from fresh grief into a place of growth. All right. We know we're never over grief. We never get over it. Something that we're going to carry with us for our whole lives. But, we have to learn how to do that. We can't really get stuck in that constant grief all the time. So, we want to try to help people get from that fresh grief into a place of growth, happiness, joy, purpose, all those kinds of things that we're still left on this earth to do. We still have a lot to do here. And so we need to find out what that is so that we can work on doing that. All right. So the first phase that you were going to go into is fresh grief. So if you've just lost your loved one in the last few days, weeks, first few months, you're going to be in that fresh grief. You're gonna be in the place where you're confused, you're sad, you're numb. You might even gone into the angry phase. You're probably still in denial. Maybe not denial like you don't believe it, but denial like you can't believe it. Like I can't even wrap my brain around the fact that my husband or my wife is gone, like actually gone, like no longer living, all those different things. It's just so hard for your brain. It's almost like your brain breaks and you can't even take it, you can't even accept it, like, thinking about it just makes you not wanna think or not want to, you know, move on or do anything that like, throughout the day, like, you're just kind of stuck, you're frozen, you're like a robot, you're in survival mode, like, you're probably just struggling to get dressed, you're struggling to get out of bed, you're struggling to take care of, your basic self hygiene needs, going to get groceries, doing the daily grind. A lot of times if you have kids, that sort of fast forwards you through that because you can't lay around and just not do anything. Um, and so you sort of have to be forced into action if you have children because you have to take care of them, which, may be a good thing because otherwise you might just kind of sit around and get stuck a little bit in that fresh grief. Right now, if you're in fresh grief, you're trying to figure out how to put one foot in front of the other. Like you've just gone through the funeral, you've just gone through, the people bringing the covered dishes, and you figured out how to get their dishes back to them, or you're cleaned up, and you're just recovering from the funeral. And so then you sit there and you think, okay, I did it. Yeah, I got through that. And then you think, okay, now what? Like what do I do next? And you realize that now you've got to live, this is the first day of the rest of your life. And you realize the rest of your life is different than what it was just a few days ago or just a few weeks ago. And yeah, that's right. Naomi says we learn to live with a broken heart. We learn to live with that loss. We're learning that our life is different now. And so, we have to make adjustments and we have to make some changes, and it's changes that we don't want to make. And so that's the hard part because we know we need to, and then we know we should. We sure as hell don't want to. And we probably don't know how. And we don't know who to ask. We might not know anybody that is also widowed that can kind of understand what we're going through. And so we're doing something we did not ask to do, we don't want to do, and we know that we need to. And, it can make us angry because we're having to go through this. And the person that normally would have like supported us through this most tough time in our lives is the person that's not there for us anymore. So we're suddenly doing this all by ourselves. And now we're figuring out how to do stuff that we maybe didn't do before. Maybe we never did it, or we haven't had to do it for a long time because maybe your wife or your husband, we have roles in a marriage. They did stuff that we didn't have to worry about. And so now we have to do everything. If you're a parent, guess what? You're now mom and dad. And so you're having to do all that. When Dewey first died, I had to kind of revisit how I parented. He was the disciplinarian. I mean, he was like the drill sergeant. So he was the one that, kept them in line. He was the one that doled out all the punishments. He was the one that was real strict and got them to mind. And I was the one that when they got in trouble, daddy got made them, daddy, he made me got onto me or whatever. And they'd come, I was the mama duck and I came and, I was the softie. He was bad cop. I was good cop, if you want to call it that. So it was really hard for me when he died because I had trouble saying no. I had trouble being strict or mean or whatever you call it. And it's a tough role for me to play. It still is sometimes. So, that's just something that just has to happen. Um, if you're in this fresh grief, hey, Meemaw from San Diego, California. Linda, good morning. I'm just catching up on some people who are checking in. Hey, guys. Um, so we're talking about our phases of grief. And we're talking about being in fresh grief. So in fresh grief, you're probably not looking down the road long term because number one, you don't want to. Like you don't even want to think about the rest of your life without your person. And number two, you probably can't because you have no idea what it's going to look like. You don't even want to think about what it's going to look like because it's not a thought that you want to have. And so you're not really thinking about, down the road. You're not thinking about your future. You're not thinking about how's your life going to be. You're thinking about right now. You might not even be thinking about that. You might be trying to think about nothing. You might be doing a lot of sleeping. So you're kind of in the moment, if that makes sense. And so your focus is on yourself. Your focus is on your grief. Your focus is on adjusting to, like today, real life, today, tomorrow. What am I going to do tomorrow? You might be thinking about how am I going to go back to work? Some people have luxury to be able to take off some extended time. Some people have to go right back, right away. Dewey died in June and I was a school teacher. So we don't go back until like the end of July. And so I had about 6 weeks that I did not have to go back to school. So I didn't have to take leave. I just did not have to go back to work. So it kind of worked out for me with that time period. I didn't lose any money or have to take any time off. And so timing wise, it, kind of worked out for me. A lot of you guys know that, Sharon Kinney. Hi, Sharon. Thanks for joining us. It's just been over a year, and I know you still struggle. That first year is like you're numb, and then you kind of phase over into that second year. And some people say the second year is even harder because you're not as numb, and you realize now it's starting to become a reality, and so you're having to deal with that. And so it's a different kind of struggle. So we're with you. A lot of us in here, we know what you're going through, and we're going through it with you. But anyway, so we were talking about you're thinking about yourself right now. Oh, going back to work. Many of you know that I am remarried and my husband now is also widowed. And so he owns his own business and he's his own boss. He delivers milk. He's a milkman. When I first met him, I asked him, they still have those? And yeah, they do. So he's a milkman. He didn't have anybody to work for him. So his wife died on a Wednesday and he had to go back to work on Thursday, the very next day after his wife died. He wasn't even expecting it. It was an unsuspected death. And he had to go to work Thursday and Friday. And he said he barely even remembers. He was just like on autopilot, but like he had to get up and go because nobody else could do it for him. And the kid, he delivers to daycares. The kids had to have milk. So he had to go in and do it. So, let me check my notes here. Okay, so like I said, you're having to focus on yourself. You're having to focus on like one day at a time, one step in front of the other. And so you're going to be in that phase. Like everybody's going to be in that phase. And some people get out of it kind of quick and some people kind of hang in it for a little while. It just kind of depends. It doesn't really depend on how long you were married. It certainly doesn't depend on how much you loved your spouse. I think that's a misnomer. Some people think that if we start to move forward, we must not have loved our spouse very much, or if we remarry, if we start to date, or how soon that happens. I've even been accused of it from family members. Well, you must not have loved your husband because you sure didn't waste any time, remarrying. And so you're just going to get that kind of stuff from people, but it doesn't have anything to do with that. It has to do with you, your life, how you are choosing to try to find happiness. You deserve it. You deserve to be happy again. And you're always going to have those sad days, but don't let anybody tell you that you're doing it wrong or you're doing it too fast or the timing is off, because that's all for you to decide. However, like I said, you're not really thinking down the road. You're kind of thinking about right now. And eventually you've got to sort of get out of that. People sort of give you a pass for a little while. They give you probably about a month, maybe two, where they check on you. They figure you're going to miss work. They figure you're going to be mopey and you're not going to really want to talk and you're just going to be, sad and grieving. But after a couple months, people are like, okay, And then they just sort of go on their merry way and they start living their lives and they sort of forget about you. I mean, we've had a lucky few who've had some friends and family that still, check in, but for the most part, people get on with their lives and they just sort of leave us behind and they don't realize that, hey, we're still here and our spouse is still gone. And so now we have to figure out how to integrate ourselves back into, the regular grind of life. Like we got to start moving ahead. We still have to start moving forward. And so here's some action steps that you can take when you're in that fresh grief. Like if you've, just recently, hi Rita from Kansas. If you're just recently in that fresh grief, the first thing that you just have to do is survive. If you watch The Walking Dead, we were really good fans of The Walking Dead. We used to live right in the town where they filmed, so they would film right almost in our backyard, like a mile from our house. Anyway, there was a character on there that would just draw in the sand or write on herself JSS. And for a long time, we didn't know what that meant. And it said, just survive somehow. So that's what I'm telling you now, JSS. Okay. Just survive. Do whatever you need to do on a day-to-day basis to just make it through the day. Like just win the day, get up, go tomorrow, win the day again. But at some point, that's not going to be enough. Okay. So you're going to have to start thinking ahead, and trying to get through that next phase. Some of the resources that I can give you some, just some things to send you, to tell you to do, to think about, to read, to look at, to listen to, things like that. Of course, this YouTube channel, right? So I've got, I don't know, 25 videos or so, and a lot of them have to deal with fresh grief and the things that I went through. And so just watching them might let you know that you are not alone in this. Like you're not weird. You're not going through this by yourself. And sometimes just hearing somebody else talk about it and saying, gosh, yeah, I felt just the same way, or I'm going through the same stuff. It just kind of makes you feel better because you might not know that many people in real life that are going through what you're going through. And so it's a lot easier to talk with people and to hear people talk about the same kind of, similar experiences. So there's some books, a lot of people like to read books. All these links that I talk about today live, I can't write them up here right now, but when this video goes up on YouTube, starting like this afternoon, I will go into the description and I'll put all these links in there. So if you miss a link from me telling it, just wait until the video posts later today and I'll have links to everything that we talk about. So if you saw my gift giving guide that I posted earlier this week, I have a website. It's called kit.co/onehappywidow. I don't know if Stormy can type that into the chat box, but it's kit.co/onehappywidow. And it's basically like a shopping collections. And there's one whole section of just books for people who are grieving. So you might want to click on those. Just as a disclaimer that there's affiliate links in there. So anything that you click on, it won't cost you any more money, but I do have affiliate links. So, some money will come back to me down the road. A few pennies here, a few pennies there. It all helps, right? Some gas money. Also, we have a Facebook group. So a lot of you are probably already here from the Facebook group. If you're in the Facebook group and it's brought you any kind of comfort or has helped you at all, let us know in the chat, or, invite the other people. So if you're just finding us and you haven't already found the Facebook group, again, I'll put the link in the description when this posts, but it'll be, it's facebook.com/groups/onehappywidow. And you do have to fill out some information to be accepted, because I try to keep the scammers out of there. Every once in a while, somebody will slip through and somebody will let me know, hey, there's a guy, he's usually a guy, or is coming on and trying to like pick up women or sell stuff or something. But try to be pretty strict about who gets into the group. And we've got some really supportive people on that group. It stays positive. Like even when somebody comes in and they post something that they're down about something, or they're frustrated, or they're struggling, like 10 people will comment within the first few minutes and say, hey, I've been there. Keep your chin up. This is some things that I've tried. And so the people on there are so supportive. It's not just a big pity party where everybody is like competing about who's the most sad. I've seen some groups like that, and it's not the vibe I'm looking for. So we've got a really positive, supportive group of people on there. And so I think that it would be a good help to you. Also, there's an email list that I have. So again, I'll post that link below, but if you sign up for the email list, the first thing that you'll get is a PDF that is just a checklist. It's a widow checklist of like all the people that you need to contact and all the things that you need to do in the very beginning that you probably don't think about, like changing the name on a bank account, or changing the names over on everything that you had, or if you move, changing your address, or just contacting friends and family, arranging funeral stuff, applying for your life insurance, just things like that, just like a little checklist of things that you don't even want to think about. So just go through mindlessly and just, check the list and make sure that there's nothing that you left out. I was in such numbness when Dewey was sick. He was only sick for 4 months, but you would think that 4 months would be long enough. But I can remember talking to my mom while I was waiting for the funeral, like the second day of the funeral, and she was talking to me and I was talking about my job, and it just dawned on me. I was like, oh my gosh, I have life insurance on him through my job. It was like a really small, it was a small amount, but it was something that you just check when you're doing your human resources stuff. Like I didn't even think about it the whole time he was sick. And even when he died, totally forgot that I had like a small life insurance policy that I could, to claim. And it didn't dawn on me until like the day of the funeral. And I thought, wow, I could have really used that. I mean, I did end up being able to use it. That's the amount that kept me from losing my house. Like I was in a rental, but like long story, but my regular life insurance got what do you call it? Contested. So it was caught up in court for 4 months. And so in the meantime, I'm losing cars. I'm about to lose my house because I didn't, we had lost his income. And so that little bit that I remembered was enough to just kind of keep me going until the rest of it came through. So just little stuff like that, that if I had a checklist, it might have helped me to think about that stuff, because your brain's not working right. Trust me, brain's not working right when you're in grief. Even a year or two after, if you've ever heard of widow's brain, um, widow's brain or widow's fog, that crap is real. Like mine happened sort of like longer after, and I started thinking that I might be getting Alzheimer's or something, because I couldn't think of words, like normal words. I'd be talking and the word wouldn't come out right. And I'm thinking, what is wrong with me? My brain is not working right. And I got really upset because I was young, I was in my mid 40s. And so, um, something about survivor's benefits. I'll touch on that at the end. So we'll do that in the Q&A. But I'll cover that one. But anyway, yeah, I thought that I was, losing my mind. I thought I was getting dementia or Alzheimer's or something at age 45, because I would forget stupid stuff and lose my keys a million times. I'd be talking on the phone saying, I don't know where my phone is, and like just crazy stuff. But widow's fog, it's a real thing. And then there's another resource that I'm going to share with you. I'm waiting to share with you probably next week. I've had a couple of other different things that I want to share that are going to be really good resources. And there's some things I'm not allowed to share directly on here on a live, but I can share that through email. So if you sign up for the email, again, I'll put the email link, in the description, so you can sign up for that if you're not already done. All right, going to take a little bit of a break because I'm done with the fresh grief part, and I'm going to go into the next phase in a minute. But I'm just checking some of the chats. You look forward to the videos. Awesome. Just to let you know, I already made the next video. I just have to edit it and put it up. But it's, I made a list of all the mistakes that I could think of, or some of the mistakes I could think of that I made as a parenting mistakes that I made as a widow, and I had like 57 things. So I didn't want to make a 3-hour video. So I cut it down to like the 11 biggest parenting mistakes that I made when I became widowed. And, some of them I'm still trying not to make them again, but, and I listed those. I think it's going to be a good one. So if you're a parent and you're widowed, you definitely want to check that video out. It's going to be coming next week. I think it's going to be a good one. Yes, lots of good people in the Facebook group. It is a wonderful community. Let's see. In my 11th month, I'm going through what happened to my friends. Calling me just isn't the same as seeing friends. Yeah, it's, at least they're calling. I'm just saying, a lot of times, they just go away, and it's hard. I did another video on my YouTube that is talks about the dynamics, how dynamics change, when you become widowed, how your family dynamics change, your friends dynamics change. If you're a part of a bunch of married groups and now you're the single person, it's kind of weird for you to be the fifth wheel. And if you are now trying to be friends with some single people, and they're like, oh, now you want to be friends with us. So it's a tough dynamic change, when you become widowed. Having to say it on the phone the first few times, you'd cry. Yeah, like when you're first filling out those forms and you're filling out the forms and it asks for your marital status, and sometimes it even doesn't have widowed on there. And what's weird to me is that I've had some trolls that have talked to me about my widowed status. Well, you're not widowed, you're married. If you remarried, how can you call yourself a widow? Well, getting remarried did not bring my husband back to life. I'm still going through the grief, especially in the holidays. It's tough. And my kids, guess what? Their dad is still dead. So I'm still living the widowed life. Trust me. As a matter of fact, Dewey's birthday was yesterday, and it was just it's a tough time. This whole holiday is a tough time, from Veterans Day, because Dewey was a veteran, to his birthday being on Thanksgiving, to Christmas, to New Year's. It's like a whole 6-week period of time where it's just like you get hit from one side to the other, and it feels like as soon as you try to get up emotionally, you get broken back down again. So anyway, yeah, it's weird when I fill out a form now because I put married, and I'm like, it's almost like I'm leaving his legacy out, by not putting widowed, because I am married, and I don't want to lessen the importance of my marriage, because it's very important to me. But I also don't want to just leave him behind by not being able to say widowed anymore. So this is a weird dynamic. I listened to all these. My husband has Alzheimer's and not the person I married. It's so sad losing your spouse. Of course you're allowed in here. Yeah, for sure. It's for anybody who's grieving, even complicated, or anticipatory grief is what you're going through right now. Anticipatory grief. And I've got a video about that. You're already grieving your loss because, like you said, you've already lost your husband in a way. You've lost a part of him, the person that he was. You're already grieving the loss of that. And so, yeah, you're experiencing that even now. And so there are some parts of it that you'll experience a little differently later on down the road. But yeah, but for sure, we want anybody who is interested in getting support for their grief of any kind, or who know people that they want to support in grief, because it's like that big elephant in the room. Nobody wants to talk about it. They find out when they hear me talk about my late husband, they change the subject real fast and they exit stage right. So yeah, widow sounds so dreary. It does. It really does. It has that bad connotation, but you know what? I see it as like a badge of honor. I mean, it's a sad one, but it means that I've survived probably the most difficult loss that a person could go through. I mean, kids losing their dad is another one, but like losing your spouse, it's not just the loss, it's it's how your whole life changes. And so just think of it as a badge of honor, because you're carrying your spouse's legacy with you everywhere you go. And it's your job to do it. Like, you're the person who's responsible for carrying their memories. Nobody else is going to do it for you. It's a really important job to have. So my husband's birthday would be tomorrow. Thanksgiving is really tough. Yeah, Sharon, my Dewey's birthday is on the 22nd. So every 5, 6, 7 years, it falls on Thanksgiving also. And so it's that whole week. It's just tough, right? Totally get that. All right. So let's move on to the next, I guess, phase, you could say, of grief. So what happens is when we're in fresh grief and we just start to slide down with our emotions, and we're sliding down and we're reaching what I call the valley of grief. So at some point you're going to hit, I don't want to say rock bottom, but you're going to hit a point where you're really down, as down as you probably will ever be. And then two things happen. You either bounce back and you start to move back up again, or sometimes I want to talk about this other thing that happens with people, and it's called complicated grief. And it's kind of where you hit the valley of grief and you sit there and you get stuck. Like you don't know how to get out of it. And you almost seems like you don't want to. And so I did not experience this. So I'm not speaking really from experience from myself, but I have seen so many people in Facebook groups, in ours and others, and just heard stories, about people, and you can almost spot them. A lot of times you can spot them on your Facebook groups. Maybe not so much in ours. We have a few, but there's some on some of the other ones. It's almost like an angry fest, but you can sort of sense the anger. They're either number one in the angry phase of grief or stage of grief, and we all go through that one. But you should go there, hang out for a while, move on to the next stage. And so the people who get stuck in that stage, that's what they call complicated grief. So you've been a widow for a while, months, maybe even some years, and you feel like you're constantly angry, you're bitter. Maybe you're still in denial. Maybe you're like, I will never love again. I will never be happy again. I will never, I will never, it always starts with I will never. And you can sort of see that person is just so angry. You can sense from the way they speak or the way they text, the way their mannerisms is that they're very angry and they're in denial about, I married my soulmate and I will never meet another one. I will never have another one. It's one thing to not ever remarry, and that's okay. That's totally okay if that's what you decide. But if you're doing that because you refuse to allow yourself the option of even being happy, even if you met somebody and you didn't even give that option, that's where the complicated grief is. And so I think it's because of this. This is my own little thing. I'm a math teacher, so you got to remember I think about these logical things, but I think about this false logic that you had your life and you're happy and you're with your spouse, and then your spouse died, which means not happy. So when you're without your spouse, that means not happy. And so your mind says, well, until my spouse comes back, I will not be happy again. And then we know that our spouse is not coming back. And so our mind says, well, since they're never coming back, that means I'll never be happy. And so they accept that as their lot in life. I'm just never going to be happy again. And they kind of start to accept that. And they just sort of live in this I'll never be happy again place. And so if you are in that state of complicated grief, I'm not an expert on this. So I will say that I don't have the answers for all of it. I'm just explaining to it so that maybe you can recognize you might be there. And just to let you know that, kind of look inside yourself and ask, have I spent too long in this phase? Have I spent too long in this angry denial phase or whatever, or this hopeless, I'll never be happy again phase? Have I done that for maybe longer than I should? I know that everybody's timeline is different, but I'm saying, like, have you heard this person who says, I lost my husband 10 years ago and I still can't go to work or something? It's a little bit different than just your standard, moving through. If you get stuck, that's complicated grief. And so I've explained that faulty logic that, okay, I'll never be happy again because my husband's never, or my wife is never coming back. And so in that case, you might not feel like you're ready to pivot. Okay. So pivot is the main word here that we're talking about for this talk is at some point when you hit that valley of grief, you got to pivot and then start moving back up. And so it's a long climb. You've got to go through different stages of, acceptance and realization that it's okay to be happy. It's okay to smile, giving yourself permission to be happy. There's all kinds of things that kind of go along with that. But you've got to put in the work. Somebody said just on a video the other day, it was like a week ago, and all they said was, grief is hard work. And I am over 4 years out, and I guess I've never thought of it in such a simpler term than grief is hard work. It freaking is. It's not just a state of being. You have to work to get yourself out of the grief state. You're always going to have grief, but it's hard work, right? You got to do the work to get yourself out of that, that valley of grief so that you can get back up to the other side, to get to where you can live a life worth living, a life with purpose, a life with joy, a life with happiness, a life with hope, for the future that you still have. All right. And so the action steps that I would say for a person who's in complicated grief is, I believe that that's the stage that people need to seek some help, some professional help. Some help that's beyond just, talking to some people. I could not help somebody out of complicated grief. I'm not a counselor. I've never been through it. I don't understand it on a personal level. And I do think that it's either time to seek grief share, group therapy, online therapy, a doctor, a therapist, a counselor. Maybe you might need medication. I don't know. I'm not a doctor, but maybe talk to a doctor and tell them what you're going through, a psychiatrist or, family doctor, and see if there's something that you can get that you're not already getting to help you to get ready to pivot. Because if you don't ever get ready to pivot, you're going to get stuck in that valley, and your quality of life is not going to be what it can be. Let's just put it that way. And so I would encourage you to seek help. And when you're there, you probably don't want to seek help because you're thinking, well, who can help me? And it's negative. And so it's time to, try to get yourself to feel like you want to pivot. And I know that's hard. You can't just make yourself get somewhere. But anyway, that's our complicated grief. And so for your action steps on this, I would say figure out, if you keep doing what you're doing, you keep getting what you're getting, right? So whatever it is that you're doing right now ain't working for you. Okay. So you're gonna have to do something else. Like you have to do more or something else, something different. And so, I would say seek some help, maybe seek some therapy. And, of course, the same resources that we talked about before, the Facebook group, really supportive place. Watch the YouTube videos, not just mine, but there's some that are TED Talks out there that are some really good ones about people who are going through grief. And so, just go out there and find some resources. And you have to talk to yourself in a different way. Like you are telling yourself how to react and what you're feeling and your beliefs. You're the one that's talking to yourself. So this person that's talking to you, this person has to be saying different things to the other you so that you can get yourself, past that complicated grief. And so you might not be able to do it yourself. You might need some help. All right. And so we're going to talk about at the end, I'm going to tell you about this new resource that I have. And so you might not be ready for that. So the resource I'm talking about is this course that I'm dropping this week. And it's for people who are ready to pivot or who are in the process of pivoting and they need a boost. You might not be there yet. So if you signed up for this course and you're not ready to pivot yet, you might not get much out of it because it's like leading the horse to water. But you've got to do the work. Like you got to do the stuff in order to help yourself feel better. And so if you're not ready to do the stuff, the course is not going to help you at all. You just watch it and be like, okay, well, I don't want to do that. So never mind. And it didn't work for me. You got to be ready for it. So it might not be there, but I hope that you will be. I hope that you get to that point where you're ready to pivot so that you can come back and maybe take a look and get something out of the course that I'm going to talk about in a little bit. And then my Meemaw says, although it's been over 25 years, I've been living my life. The void is always there. And there's definitely a hole there that's never going to be filled, not by another person, not by anything else. Cause that person left a person-sized hole in your heart. And so I read all kinds of stuff, but I was reading a blog and it once said that it's not like moving forward is not mean leaving that person behind. It means learning how to live carrying their memory with you, like carry them with you as you move ahead and you live this new life. And so like, it's never going to be the same and it's never going to be fixed, but it's going to be better. That's the whole purpose, is for it to be better. And if it's not getting better after that time, then we need some help. We need some help getting there. All right. So let's see. And again, I'll do Q&A at the end. So I know I'm probably missing a lot of chats, but I get sidetracked. And so I'm going to finish this last little section and then I'm going to go to the Q&A. If there's something that's not on the chat screen anymore, feel free to put it back up there when we get to the Q&A section. So the last phase I'm going to talk about is the valley of grief. We're at that valley and we're ready to pivot. So we're pivoting. You're moving out of fresh grief. You maybe were stuck for a while or you were there for a while and you're ready to be unstuck from the fresh grief or from the complicated grief that you're in. And you're looking ahead now. So you're making plans. You're gotten to that point where you're like, okay, my life is not going to be the same. I get it. But I still want whatever's left of this life to be as good as I can make it. Like I'm sick of being sad all the time. I'm sick of being in grief all the time. I'm sick of every single thought that comes into my head is about my widowed state. Like I'm sick of it. I don't want to do that anymore. Like I want to feel better. I want to be happy. I want to allow myself to be happy. So there's some steps that you can take to get yourself there. And my course is going to help you with that. You're starting to make plans. You're starting to look ahead. You do see that there's a future out there, and maybe that future is not so gloomy as you originally thought. And like, it's all about what you make it. Your future's yours, so you're the one that makes it. You can't help what happens to you from the outside, but you can help the things that you choose to do while you're, living in that lane that you are. Um, so you might want to pivot, but maybe you're not sure how to. Maybe you're not sure how. Like, I want to be happy, but I have been, I don't know how to be happy. Like, how do you do that? Where do I go? What do I do? What do I think? Who do I see? All these kinds of things. Or maybe you're trying and you're like, I'm really trying, but I don't know if it can be easier, or I don't know if it can be better. If maybe there's more I can do, or is there some kind of help out there to like give me an extra boost to help accelerate this, or to make this even better than what I'm trying to do right now. Um, let's see. Maybe you're ready. Like, I want to find joy. I want to find purpose. I want to find happiness. And I think I'm doing it, but maybe there's some other stuff out there that I didn't think about that would even help me even more. And so the people that are in this place, that's the people that's going to get the most out of the course that I've created. Um, and so also, like, you've reached the acceptance stage. You don't like it, but you've come to the terms that this is what it is, okay, and I'm going to try to handle it the best that I can. And you're willing to change, and you're willing to work to make the change. Because remember, a few minutes ago, I said grief is hard work. You got to do the hard work. That's the work on yourself. No one's going to come in and fix your problems. No one's going to come in and, like, even the doctors and the therapists and stuff, they're not going to fix you. They're not going to make you happy. They're going to tell you how you can make yourself happy. It's kind of like if you did go to the doctor and he's like, okay, I got these pills that I'm going to have you take, and he gives them to you, and no pill is going to fix anything, but it could help you, your brain chemistry. But let's just say he had some, some pills that's supposed to make you feel better. And you're like, thanks, doc. And you go to the house and you put them on the counter and you never take them. If you don't take the pills, they're not going to change you, So if you don't do the things, then your feelings are not going to change. And so you got to be willing to do the work. And if you're willing and ready, then I got the steps. And I mean, it's not a cure for anything, but like, I've got lots of steps that you can take that's going to help you. And guess what? I'm good at telling people, but I'm not as good as taking my own advice. So like, as I go through the course, with the first cohort is going to start January 1st. And it's going to be a month long. And so I'm going to be right there with you doing it too. I'm going to be doing all the exercises, because I can always use more. I can always use something to help me be happier. And I know I'm not doing everything that I could do to get the best out of my life right now. And so I'm going to be doing it too. All right. So the resources and the action steps. First of all, the action steps are keep going. If you're there and you're ready to do that pivot, keep on doing the things that you're doing and try to get out there, keep your mind open, and be ready to do that work. Start helping other people, because sometimes helping other people is the best way to make you feel better. So go out there and try to find kids or elderly or disabled or homeless, or this is a great time, the holidays, right? Go volunteer at the soup kitchen or something like that, and help feed some people on Thanksgiving. Excuse me. And then lead by example. So on that Facebook group, we've got so many ladies that are going through exactly what everyone else is going through, but yet they take the time out of their day from their own grief to lift the people up who are having a down moment or a down day. And they forget about their own grief for a little while, and they go in and they say, hey, I've been through this. Here are some things that could make you feel better, or just remember that you're not alone, or just, they just send out words of encouragement. And at that moment, they're not thinking about their own grief. They're thinking about someone else's and how they can help them feel better. And so keep on doing that, and then connect with others. So any way that you want to connect, whether it be online or whether it be in person. I know with this pandemic, it's a little harder, but so keep doing those things. And then your resources, again, the YouTube channel, the Facebook group, the sign up for the email list, look on the kit.co for just some things, some books, some gifts, some, just some things to, like, some candles, stuff to make you feel better that you could buy yourself, or send that kit.co link to somebody else and say, hey, you want to think of some ideas of how to make me happy for Christmas? Here you go. Click on that stuff. And here's a list of stuff that anything on this list you can buy me. It would make me feel better. And then, So the last two things that I want to talk about, I haven't talked about yet. So that is the course that I've been teasing about and talking about and excited about, because I've been working on this thing for months. Okay. And what it is a 28-day grief pivot course. Okay. So it's a course that you purchase that is it's all digital stuff. And so it's 28 different lessons that you go on, and it's self-paced. You don't have to do it in 28 days, but it's self-paced, and it's every single lesson is a different day, and it's a different idea, and it's a different resource for you. Okay, I've done all kinds of research. I send you different places of things that you could go and read and do. I walk you through some things. So I don't want to give too much away, but it's things that I haven't really talked about in depth on the YouTube channel. So it's stuff that you can't just go out there and search on the YouTube and just get it and piece it together. It's a lot more in depth than that. And so I've spent months working on this, and it's finally ready to go. And so what a perfect time. And so if you think that you're ready for that pivot, I'm going to put the link down there, and you can click on it, and there's like a little commercial. It's actually going to drop for sale on Black Friday. What better day, right? And so from Black Friday to Cyber Monday, there's going to be a huge discount code that you can use, that you can get it for cheaper. And then if you go to onehappywidow.com/pivot, you can go there, and it's the info is already there. You can kind of take a look and see. And so there's videos, tons of videos. There is PDFs for you to print. There's stuff that you can look at on the screen. There's ideas. There's lists. I'm a list maker. There's tons of lists. There's all kinds of resources. There's other programs that I can send you to, that will help you as well. And so, and the best part about it is, the extra part that I'm going to add on for free this time is the 28-day, the January cohort. All right. So if you purchase it, you'll get access to the course, but it will not actually be live until January 1st. Right. And so from January 1st until the end of January, we will have a private Facebook group where we can connect with other people that are in the course. So only if you buy the course can you be in the Facebook group. We'll also have live sessions weekly. So like this, but it'll just be Q&A for people who have questions or who want to share their success and give out ideas, all that kind of stuff. So we're going to be doing that. And so after the January, the group will be closed. So you get January for live interaction, but the course that you purchase will be yours to keep forever. So all the videos that are on there, all the PDFs, all the resources, all that stuff, you'll have lifetime access to that. And then in addition to that, I'm adding for the bonus, because it's the first time I'm releasing it, is going to be the 1 month of the premium, so you'll have that 1 month of the private Facebook group. Later on, I'll offer 1 month at a time. And so people can buy the course at any time they want to, but it'll be an extra price to have that extra Facebook connection, the live streams and all that kind of stuff. But for right now, I'm going to have a coupon code for you to be able to purchase it for cheaper. And you will get the January for free. So you can buy it now. And then get ready, because on January 1st, it's all going to open up, and we're all going to go through this month of January 1st is time to do it, time to do that big change. I know that's cliche, but you know what? We're all going to do it together. And there's no time like, January 1st. I started my YouTube channel last January 1st, and I did it purposely so that I could know what month it was and say, yeah, I started my YouTube channel 10 months ago, 11 months ago. So, it's always time for a good start. All right. So that's pretty much all. Like I said, I'm going to put all those links down below when I post this. You'll be able to watch this video over again, but the chat will be recorded. So it'll be up in a little bit. I don't know exactly how it works because it's my first time doing it, but hey, we're learning as we go. And so now I know that there's been a lot of chatting there, but if there is I'm going to open up to a Q&A. At this point, if you have questions about, you can pretty much ask anything. If you have questions about the course, if you have questions about the YouTube, if you have questions about me, if you have questions about anything that you're going through right now, remember, disclaimer, I'm not a counselor or a doctor or a lawyer. So I can't give you medical advice, but, I can tell you what I've been through, and same kind of stuff that we help you out with on the Facebook page. So I'm just going to look over here on the side chat and see if there's anything else that we need to address. The empty chair prayer. The pies are in the freezer. The turkey's on the list. But this Thanksgiving, oh, how a loved one will be missed. Lord Jesus, please hear our Thanksgiving prayer. Love that. Love it, love it, love it. So when my oldest daughter got married, we had a chair that was empty with his drill sergeant hat there. Um, just to show that he couldn't be there for the wedding. And it was tough. And then my daughter's first basketball game for the first season that she played in high school, she was on the varsity team that first year after he died. And so we brought his jersey that he had, and like we set it on the chair, and my daughter's walking outside the window. She just came home. The daughter was just talking about the basketball player. Anyway, we put his jersey on the stands and the bleachers, just so that she could know that he was there in spirit. And it was really tough. So I'm recording right now. She's like, okay. She just got here. I'm at that point, just tired of being sad all the time. Okay, Tammy, you're the perfect candidate then. If you're at that point, tired of being sad and you're ready to make some changes, the course is going to help you. Trust me, it's stuff that I've done, but it's also stuff that I know I should do and I still haven't done. And I know if I would do it, I would feel better too. And so we're all going to do it together. And like I said, you'll have access, you'll have lifetime access to that. And then you'll have that month that you can sort of go along with us. And if you don't finish all 28 in the month, that's okay. Just do what you can. It's at your own pace. Everybody agrees at their own pace, right? For those gathered around a table that has an empty chair, oh Lord, comfort their hearts. We know that you are able, and let them know that this year there's another chair at heaven's table. Oh, that must have been the rest of the Thanksgiving prayer. Awesome. Love it, love it, love it. Sheila says, Tammy, I feel the same. Yes, Sheila, if you're at that point, like you're tired of being sad, the course is going to be perfect for you. Hello by Erica Parkerson. So that was not any of ours. We're just reciting that Thanksgiving prayer. Linda says, I want to be happy without feeling guilty. And I'm working on this. Linda, that is so common. Like that's the first, when you first start allowing yourself, to feel happy. As a matter of fact, that's a lot of the times why some people don't allow themselves to feel happy, because they feel too guilty about it. As we're seeing that. Anyway, it's unstable. Okay. I don't know if I glitched out on you or not. My connection was unstable. Anyway, I was talking to Linda about feeling guilty. Just know that's totally normal. Okay. Because it makes it feel like, it's just the guilt. It's just totally normal, because we're feeling like, well, how can I be sitting here smiling, when my husband is not around, when my husband has passed away. And so it's a hard, thing for you to just allow yourself to feel happiness, and just know it's never going to go away. You're always going to have that sadness with you, but it's still okay to smile, and it's still okay to have some happy moments. Okay. And also know that that's what they would want for you. They would not want for you to live the rest of your life in misery just because they were not with you anymore. They want you to be happy as best as you can. And so, you are going to feel guilty. It's normal. But over time, you just have to kind of, like you said, work on it and talk to yourself. Same thing when people start dating. It's really hard because you feel guilty. You almost feel like you're cheating on your spouse because you're going out with other people that you would not have done when you were married. And so that's a normal thing. Let's see. Before my husband died, he had a talk with me. He told me he didn't want me to be sad for a long time. He wanted me to move on. When I feel sad, I remember those words. So that's really good. And if you can kind of hold on to that and know that that's what they wanted, it kind of helps you. This is real life. Okay. I'm just going to share real life with you. Because in the movies, everybody's like, oh, just go on and find someone to make you happy and find some other whatever. And they always do that stuff. Well, Dewey did not. He was like, he actually said, don't let any other man come in and raise my babies. So he, and I'm remarried now. So I didn't make the promise. I just said, you know what? Don't even worry about that. You don't need to worry about that right now. We're just, we're not talking about that. We're not thinking about that. So I just tried to kind of ease his mind, but like, he did not do that, that honorable thing and say, move on and be happy and find somebody. He did not want me to do that. All right. Yeah. That's a good memory that your husband said when you feel sad, that, he didn't want you to feel sad for a long time. So that's a very healthy way to do it. To where's the link to the commercial for the commercial is at the top of the pivot page. I'm pretty sure if you go to onehappywidow.com/pivot, I'm pretty sure that the commercial is on there. It's like a little cartoon commercial that I had made. It's so cute. And if you don't see it on there, let me know and I'll find the real link and I'll post it on here after. So Tammy says she's excited about the course. I am too. Never had a course before. I'm going like this is new territory for me. So like I'm so excited. I can't wait to see like what it does for people. You know what I mean? Like I want to see that transformation and I want to be there to hear about all the good stories about people and, like, oh, wow, I know it's not going to cure grief. Like I'm not, you know what I mean? Like, but we got to do something to help each other. And so I know it's going to help if you do the work. OMG, my husband said, don't let another man in this house. Sheila B. Okay, so yours is not, mine was not the only one who said that. Yeah, so yeah. I mean, when Dewey got sick, he would start having nightmares and he was like, I had this nightmare, this recurring nightmare that when I die, you're gonna go back to your first husband and remarry him. And I'm like, honey, you do not, that's one thing I can promise you do not have to worry about. Because that's just not going to happen. But it just let me know where his mind was. Like it was in that place where, I guess he just, he knew he wasn't going to be around and that I was young. And he's like, what is she going to do when I die? She's 40 some years old. He had to know that I wasn't going to want to spend the rest of my life alone. And just the thought of him knowing that I was going to have a life possibly with somebody else, just, who wants to think about that? It takes a real selfless person to say the words, go find happiness. And, if you find somebody else to make you happy, that's a hard thing to say, because what you want to say is, I don't want to be dying. And I sure as hell don't want to know that you're going to go on and be with somebody else. Like nobody wants to think about that, but that just adds to the guilt, right? It's just a whole messed up situation when people are dying, especially if they know ahead of time. So, okay. I don't see anything. If anybody else has any questions or, like I said, all the links will be added down below. And if you just go to onehappywidow.com, you should be able to kind of click around and just see there's a thing that says courses at the top, where you just be able to click on the course. But if you go onehappywidow.com/pivot, I think that it will be up there. And if you happen to get to that sales page, don't click on it without I'm putting the code in here, Black Friday 2021. I haven't actually, it's not really supposed to be for sale yet, but it might accidentally be active. So just in case, you can put it in there, but it won't show you anything. You'll be able to purchase it, but it won't show you anything until January anyway. So don't purchase without that Black Friday coupon, but it's not supposed to be up until Friday, but this is new to me. I might've made a mistake. If anything weird happens, just email me and I'll fix it for you. If you end up paying a price you're not supposed to pay or something strange happens or whatever, just let me know. Okay. I'll fix it. I will fix it. And that way I'll know what's going on. There's a dog that is like running around the house. My daughter brought her Great Dane and I have seen that dog run across this window 3 times, like in the last minute. So I guess she's got the zoomies. Let's see. Almost 8 months widowed. Suddenly on March 30th, I've been trying to pivot on my own. Your videos and Facebook page has helped. I'm looking forward to your class. Awesome. So keep doing what you're doing. And I know that you'll get some ideas from the course. I've tried to talk to other guys, Lily says, but it seems that the little thing that they do irritates me. Why is that? It just could be that you just happen to have some bad luck and you've talked to some jerks. I don't know. My standards are pretty high too. So I met a lot of those irritating guys. I cannot stand an arrogant man. And so I met a lot of them when I was on those dating sites. So Lily, I just, I'll pray for you for God to send you a good man because there's a lot of crappy ones out there and you just got to wade through a lot of them to get to that good one. Sheila B said, I was 56 and I'm 58. I don't know that I want anyone else. Too much work. It is work. Yeah. And you know what? If you don't want anybody else, just, find happiness in yourself, your kids, your grandkids, your family, your pets, your hobbies, your coworkers. I did a video on what is chapter 2? Like, what does chapter 2 mean? Chapter 2 doesn't really mean, they always talk about it being a person, but chapter 2 doesn't really mean a person. Chapter 2 means your life after your loss. And it could be in the form of anything. It doesn't have to be I moved forward in love. It could be any other thing that you do to make you happy. It doesn't have to be another person. And that's totally cool. Naomi says, my husband told me not to cry, but pray. Well, I cried for days until I had painful dry eyes. Yeah. I mean, we got to cry sometimes. We can't help it. Like, if you don't cry enough, your body will make you cry. Like, the tears will come when you least expect it. And it's okay to cry. I mean, that's your body's way of, processing and cleansing. The feelings are in here. So when you cry, it helps to release some of that grief, and it's okay. The problem comes when you're crying all the time and you can't stop. And that's all you do is cry. And so, there's everything in moderation, right? Alita, mine said, I know you'll find some guy. I said, not that I plan on it. He laughed, and damn him, he was right, like usual. He really did say to do stuff, have fun. And that's okay. I did too. I mean, I found one, and they're totally different. And this is just my husband was a love of my life for that phase of my life. My current husband is the love of my life for this part of my life. Your life comes in seasons and stages and phases. And, your life is not meant to be exactly the same, the whole time. And so that's okay. Tammy says, I know what you mean, Sheila. Jamie, my husband died just 2 months ago. Okay, so Jamie, you're probably still in some fresh grief. I already stopped crying last week. Okay, I don't know why. I thought I'll be crying the whole year. I just feel numb. I don't know if this is normal or what. So Jamie, it's totally normal. And you may just be like, your body just may be in a rest, like you're crying. And then your body's like, okay, I can't cry anymore. Like, I can't do this. Like, and so you shift to do something else. You're probably numb because your emotions were so spent out while you were crying for so long that you might not have anything left, but now you're going to recharge, and you'll find some other things, and you'll start doing other things. You'll start trying to piece your life together, your new life together, and it'll come and go, and it's okay. Sometimes we feel guilty when we stop crying because we're like, why are we not feeling sad today? Today's the first day I didn't feel sad. And then you feel guilty because you didn't feel sad. Don't beat yourself up. You feel how you feel, and you'll process through your grief, and it's like, it's an ebb and flow. So Jamie, you're going to cry again, and that's okay. And then you're going to have days where you don't. And, that's kind of the process. My current husband, JP, he said the same thing. He said, I cried for like 3 weeks straight. Every day, almost all day. He went to work with sunglasses on or whatever. And he said, finally, one day I just said, I'm sick of crying. Like, because the crying was making him feel worse. So he finally was like, I can't do it anymore. Like, I can't cry anymore. I've got to stop. And so he started just trying to do something else to keep his mind off of things. And so, it'll come back. You'll cry a little, and you'll suck it up, sniffle, and then go on to do some other things, and you'll cry again. And even now, I get triggered sometimes. I don't cry as long or as hard, but, I still get triggered on some stuff. And sometimes I just take a few minutes and just shed a few tears, and then kind of just, drive on again, like, yesterday. Let's see. Yes, chapter 2 doesn't have to be a person. Good advice. Chapter 2 just means, your next chapter in your life. Doesn't have to be, a person doesn't have to be a part of it. Thanks for doing this chat today. Enjoy Thanksgiving with your family. God bless. And thank you for today's chat. So, we've been just over an hour. So I'm happy to answer any other questions that might come through. But otherwise, that's pretty much all I got for you guys today. Thank you so much for coming in. We've had like anywhere from like 15 to 20 some people in here. And honestly, I was happy. I was like, if I get 2 people, then I'll feel like it's a success. So you guys just made me feel like that the work that I'm doing and the things that I'm saying and the things that I'm doing is actually like not just being put out there into space and disappearing, just to know that someone out there is feeling the same way that I feel, and maybe it's helping some people, makes me want to keep doing it. And so thank you so much for showing up and spending time with me, because I know there's so many other things you could do today, and that you spent this hour with me and listen to me talk. Yes, I'm very blessed and thankful that all of you were here. So Um, yes, I'm so grateful I found this group. It really gives me comfort. My friends won't understand. I'm still 29, so Jamie, yeah, you're young, and you probably don't know any widowed people at your age in real life, right? And so, yeah, it's really hard to find people who can understand what you're going through right now because, you just that's not what you see normally. And so there's a couple other Facebook groups out there, Jamie. I don't know if you've looked in there specifically for like young widows and stuff like that. So I don't know if you've looked. I'm in a couple of them, but they have different needs and they have different topics they talk about that that might meet your needs a little better. And so just, there's all kinds of Facebook groups out there for that, that you might be able to find for support. But, ours is the best, of course. Take care. God bless you and be with you always. Thank you so much, Purple Violet. And I appreciate all the prayers and the well wishes. I will always love you for replaying when I had questions about replying when I had questions about my wife's cancer. Oh, Bob. Yes. Bob contacted me while his wife was still sick. And so we've been kind of contacting through that journey because she had a very similar journey to Dewey. And so my heart really goes out to you, Bob, because our journey was very, very similar. And so now he's a part of our group and we're happy to have you. All right. Thank you, Leo. You're doing great work. Thank you so much. All right, guys. So I'm going to wrap it up. And Lily is also 31. So Lily and Jamie, y'all are pretty close in age. So maybe you connect on our group and see if you can make some friends, or y'all can both join the course, and then we'll see you on that private Facebook group. All right. So I'm going to work on getting all these links done. You'll see this up there, and I'll post it everywhere that I can think of to kind of reach you guys in. All right. And I hope you guys have a great Thanksgiving. I'll be praying for every last one of you because I know that this is a rough time for all of us. And so hopefully we'll just find one thing to be thankful for, grateful for, and try to focus on that and just kind of hang with that and try not to focus on all of the negatives if we can. And then we will see you guys. We'll see you guys on the Facebook group, or I'll see you on my next YouTube video. All right. Okay. I'm going to cut it off here, and you guys have a good holiday. Bye.